Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 12 of the Christmas Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing a brand new Cricut paper craft with you every day for 20 days. Today we're making something big, something freestanding, and something that truly embodies the true meaning of Christmas. We're creating a three-dimensional nativity scene with a wonderful stable box full of glistening gold card and individual characters that are all freestanding to go inside and outside. This makes a wonderful display piece for your Christmas decorations, or it could even be an interactive project to teach your children the nativity story, or just for them to enjoy it every year, getting out all of the figures and seeing where to put them. This project takes quite a long time to make because of all of the various elements, but don't worry, I'm going to show it to you every single step of the way. But if you're in a little bit more of a rush and you don't want to make each individual person as lots of different layers to stick together, then make sure you watch this whole video through, because at the end I'll show you how you can turn them into print then cut graphics instead. So all you would need to do is print each character with your colour printer, have your Cricut cut around the edge, and then you don't have to stick them all together, it comes already done for you. Whichever one you decide, the layered cardstock or the printable version, it's all covered in this video. So let's get started. Before we get started, let's take a little look in more detail at the nativity. When it's all made, it comes with a lid so you can store it really easy for future years. We'll need a few specialty materials to make this project. One of those is some kind of removable adhesive, such as Velcro or hook and loop, or blue tack, or something else, whatever you want to use. Here's an example of the blue tack, which is sort of like a tacky putty that you could put on. But I'm using the hook and loop, which comes with 2 rolls. Mine does. Yours might come as different. You don't have to get it on a roll. It comes as little kind of squares or circles as well, which would work just fine. But these have different textures to them. One roll is really scratchy and one is smooth. And when they're put one on top of the other, they join together really securely and firmly, but we can still take it apart. And this is going to be important for the front of the stable, which I will show you in just a moment. For cutting this, don't use scissors if you're using one with strong adhesive on the back like I was. As I found out, they completely gum up your scissors. So instead, use a craft knife with a cutting board down to protect your work surface, and it will go much better. To make the stands for all of the figures, I'm using craft board. This is Cricut craft board. It doesn't matter what colour you use because you won't see it, only from the back. If you don't have craft board, then a thick cardstock of around 300 GSM will work really well for those stands. So let's take a look in the box and see what we've got. Take the lid off, and then you can store the lid by putting it the other way up and putting it into the back of the stable. That way you're not going to lose it. Then we've got all the figures inside. They all come with a stand on the back. You can pull it out, fold it back, pull that down, pull that over, and they'll all be completely freestanding. You can see some of my hook and loop on here. The reason for that is that the front of the stable comes out bigger than would fit in the box if we cut it all in one piece. So I'll take these out and show you what it looks like. It's sticking to my jumper. Okay, I think that's all the bits. Yeah. Right, so how this works is we've got the corresponding tabs on the back. And when you're ready to display it, line these up as close as you can. Push it down. Then one the other side. Which is there. The grass along the bottom. And then this bit along the top to neaten up those edges. And then you've got a beautiful front which comes outside the edge of that box shape, and It's all completely removable and storable, ready for next year. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the Christmas Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/Christmas25. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/Christmas25 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Christmas Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. Or purchase just the design from this video at craftwithsarah.com/products. To find the designs from this countdown, click into the Occasions filter and choose Christmas. The designs will appear here each day once the free versions have expired. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into your cutting machine software. For instructions on how to use the cut files, visit craftwithsarah.com/help and choose Cricut, Silhouette, or Scan and Cut. Within there are dedicated help guides on topics such as how to upload SVGs, how to modify them to make custom projects, framing tips, and how to cut cardstock with your type of machine. If you have any questions, email hello@craftwithsarah.com. Now, on with today's project. This is what the nativity scene looks like when it's loaded into Cricut Design Space, and as you can see, it's very big. In fact, we have to zoom out to 25% and still scroll all the way down to see everything included in this design. I'll zoom in a bit more though so you can actually see what I'm doing. On the top left of the design is a green box that tells you the size this should load in at. Click it and check that your measurements match, so it should be 37 inches wide and 68 inches tall. Mine is, but if yours isn't, change it to match those measurements. Then ungroup all the layers, either by pressing the ungroup button at the top of the layers panel or press it in the bar along the bottom. Then in the layers panel, click to the very top layer, which is that green rectangle, and delete it. You don't want to accidentally cut that out by mistake. There are quite a few score lines that we need to format on the nativity box. You can tell these in the layers panel by looking down and seeing anything that's contained within a subgroup near the top here. Let's go through it one at a time. I'm looking at the design on the top left, which has all of these sections on it. Click on one of the elements that are all in brown. It doesn't matter which one you choose. You can then see it highlights it in the layers panel as you click. Click the chevron arrow next to the one that's highlighted. Within there, you'll see a brown shape at the bottom and then what looks like a series of lines on top. Click the layer that just looks like the lines. Then under the operations menu along the top where it currently says basic cut, change it to score. Click the group name in your layers panel to select that miniature group. So we've now got both of those two layers selected. With those both selected, we need to tell the Cricut to do the scoring on that bit of brown. So either click the attach button, which is the paper clip at the bottom of the layers panel, or you can do it in the contextual menu that appears next to the shape. They both do exactly the same thing, so it doesn't matter which one you press. And then we're going to do the same for all of the different elements that go around the edge of this middle shape. There's nothing to change on the middle shape itself, which you can tell if you click it, because in the layers panel, this is just one single layer. It's not in one of those subgroups. Let's click on this one, open it up, click on what looks like the single lines, change it to score, click to select that mini group, and attach. One more under here. I'll do this one step by step as well, and then I'll go a bit quicker. So I've opened it up, click on the top layer. This time it looks like a whole black rectangle. Change that to score. Click to select that mini group and attach. All right, I'm going to go a little bit quicker now for the rest of them. Got this one under here, change to score, click and attach. And then this one, open it up, click, change to score, select the group and attach. Once you've done all of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the shapes around the middle bit, scroll down because there's another few to do on here. The reason for this is that the stable comes with a box to it. It comes with a lid so that you can slide it onto the back to give it extra stability. But the nice thing is, at the end of Christmas, when you're putting this away, you can add all of the nativity figures inside the stable and then put the lid on, and it will all be wonderfully stored for next year. The front of the stable also comes apart to go inside as well if you choose to make it removable. To do that, we'll be using some Velcro. So once again, we've got a similar shape in the middle. This one doesn't need any score lines, which you can tell because you click it and it just shows that single layer. But all the ones around it, they do. Open it up, click that top layer, change it to score, click to select the mini group, and then attach. And then I'm going to do the same for these 4. That's it for all the score lines in the stable, but now we need to format the score lines on the bases of all of the nativity figures. These are shown in bright green, but in real life you probably don't want to cut them out from green. However, you do want to use a nice strong cardstock or something like craftboard. I'm going to be using craftboard to make sure that these stand up really well. Okay, so we need to format the score lines on each of these stands. First, click and it will select all of the people. Ungroup them, click away, and then click to the first stand. And that will select the group, go into it, and just like before, we've got a solid layer on the bottom, which is now showing as green, and then the one above that is what we'll change to score, and then click and attach. I'll do the same one on this one, open it up, click the top layer within that mini group, change it to score, click, and then attach. And then I'll work my way through all of the other ones. You'll need to scroll along to be able to see all of them. Make sure you don't miss any out. Once you've done the top row, scroll down, and then there's a few more to do down here. And that's now all of the scoring done. At this point, it's a good idea to save your project so that you have it in case you want to cut it out another time, so that you won't have to do all the scoring again. You'll notice in the layers panel, you've still got some groups in here that don't say the word attach. Don't worry about that. That is just all of the layers that make up each of the pictures of the people. I grouped them together so that it wasn't hundreds of layers showing in the layers panel. But you can open them up if you want to have a look at what makes up each person. Now, as I said at the beginning, this project does take a long time to make, and most of that is because all of these people have so many bits in them. If you'd rather make this a lot quicker and save a lot of your cardstock, what you can do is turn the people into print and cut images instead. That way, instead of having to cut all of these colours from cardstock, you would print the people on your colour printer and then get the Cricut to cut around the edge. If you want to do that, click on each of the people and then press the flatten icon either at the bottom of the layers panel or underneath the floating menu that appears when you select the person. That turns it into a print and cut, which you can tell because it now says flatten in the layers panel and it's got rid of all of the black lines inside. We're now just seeing the person with all of those colours. You would then do that for each of the characters individually to turn them into print and cut. If you're new to print and cut with your Cricut, check out the schedule page for the Christmas Craft Countdown. Inside the Foundation Learning box near the top of the page, there's a link to a separate tutorial in there on how to print and cut with a Cricut. However, I am going to be cutting these out from lots of different bits of card, so I'll undo my flatten on those 3 to put all of the layers back again. And this is now ready for me to cut. So let's click on Make, And that will separate out all the colours. And this is where it gets a little bit scary when you see how much there is to do. If you want to, you can change the paper size in here. And from within there, you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your cardstock. And you would need to do that for each individual colour. If you're cutting this at the original size, it will need 12 by 12 cardstock because the stable is very large. If you're cutting this on a Joy Extra, you'll need to resize the whole design smaller. For an exact size that will work on the Cricut Joy Extra, then check out the written version of this tutorial and I'll add that in there. If you were going to resize it, the easiest way to do that is to cancel out of the cut and then press Ctrl and A on your keyboard on a Windows computer or Command A on a Mac. That selects everything. Then group it all together, pressing the group button up here or the one that was down at the bottom of the canvas in the floating menu. Now that everything's grouped, you can change the width and the height and everything will change in proportion. For example, if I was going to change this, I'm just picking a random number now because I haven't actually worked out the sizing for the Cricut Joy Extra at this precise moment in time. But let's say it was 60 inches tall that I had to make it. You would make sure the padlock icon between the width and the height box is closed. If yours is open, click it to close it. Then you would type 60 in there, the other measurement would change, and everything now has been made smaller at the exact same percentage, so it's all still going to go together beautifully. But I'm going to do mine at the full size, so let's just undo that and put it all back to how it was. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead, get all of this cut out. It's probably going to take a few hours. I would say probably about 3 hours to get it all cut out. We'll see. And then we'll put it all together. Don't forget the lime green bits should be from craftboard or some other very thick kind of cardstock. It doesn't have to be green. These bits are not seen at all. They're just on the back as the hidden bases. We're going to start the assembly process by putting together all of the Nativity people. I strongly recommend looking at the assembly guides included in your download folder and putting all of your pieces in order to make up all of the characters following that assembly guide. That's because some of the pieces for some of the characters look incredibly similar, and you don't want to start sticking some together and then realise you've accidentally put the wrong bits on the wrong people. By laying it out first and getting all the characters, the animals, everything all laid out in order, it means that you know you've definitely got everything together how it should be and you're going to stick it together correctly. These are my base pieces. I cut them from Cricut craft board. I've got all of them in a pile here. And these will be the stands for our figures. We'll be putting all the pieces together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I'm using is Barely Art Glue, but I also like Halal. The reason I like these glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. The foam squares I'm using are from Dot & Dab, but any brand will do. These ones are 2mm thick and 5x5mm in size. If yours are big, you might need to cut them smaller with scissors to get them to fit. I'm going to go through each of the characters individually, starting with Mary. Each of the people does have its own assembly guide, but I'll follow them all through in the video too. For all of them, we'll be starting at the bottom and then working upwards. So I'm going to remove some of these pieces until I get to the bottom, and I'll put it on the stand at the very end. First up for Mary, we've got her hair. Turn that round and add some foam squares into the back. When putting together all the nativity figures, it's important to keep the bases as level and flat as you can so that they'll stand up. So try and keep it nice and flush and flat. Next up is this white piece to glue on top. Oh, just realised I had that the wrong way round because it's textured on one side. Let's glue it on the non-textured bit. Then we've got this blue piece to glue. I always find it hard to say blue and then glue straight afterwards. I don't know why. Next we'll work on her head, starting with the white piece to put on with foam squares. Once again, I had that the wrong way around when I lined it up. Next is the black to glue on. Just realised this is also textured on one side, the side that I just glued. So I might have done that the wrong way around. Hopefully it will still look right. Let's see. It's still fine, it all lines up. Alright, next is this brown bit to glue on. Just got my glue in her mouth. That's what I get for trying to rush. Then we've got the pink for her rosy cheeks. There are quite a lot of layers in all of the heads and faces to give them that cute character. Then we've got her main face, also to glue. So you can see how that's built it up with the brown for the eyebrows, the whites and black in the eyes, and the pink for the cheeks. She looks a little bit creepy right now, so you'd better add her hair, which is this bit, again to glue. And we're sticking with glue for the rest of her headdress. Got this bit to glue on. And then the white also to glue. And for her arms, use foam squares for these. And glue on her hands. That's all those layers done, but we need to do the stand. Turn her around. Work out which way it's going to go. So we've got the stand pointing out that way. For this one it's fairly symmetrical, so it doesn't really matter. Some of the others it's a bit more obvious. To put this together, first fold it along the score line. So bring out the stand towards you and fold down the score. My craft board hasn't quite cut all the way along the line there. Then, with it folded outwards, pull the tab down 90 degrees, like that. Then the stand pushes back, but as there's a little ridge on here, you see that pointy sticky out bit, it means it can't go any further, so that holds it in place. The easiest way to do it is always to fold the stand, pull that down, and then let it slide back over. This here where it's a bit messy is just where my Cricut didn't quite cut the edge of that line. I'll cut it. It doesn't matter though because you won't see it apart from behind. Okay, then you can turn it round and glue the bits that are left that you can see. I'm adding quite a bit of glue on here as it's got to hold up the weight of the person. And then glue it on the back. And then that will hold her beautifully upright. And the nice thing is, when you want to store it for next year, you can just fold that back, fold it in, do that, and it's all nice and flat. All the stands have a little bit cut off on this side. That's intentional. It helps it hold backwards a little bit, again, to make it more stable. There we go. There is my Mary, all done. And now we can move on to the next ones. I'm going to leave it flat for now because the glue is still drying. Next up is Joseph. Move the parts around again. till we've got these two left. And these will be glued. Got the bottom and then glue the white on top. Next, there's this white bit to do with foam squares. Next up is black to glue on top. Then we've got his face. Then his beard. Next up is the white of his headdress to do with foam squares. Then we've got the brown for his headdress to glue on. Foam square his arms. And glue on his hands. We've got the stand. Turn him round. Look at which way it goes. That way is fine. Fold it along the score line. And then I'll pull it down and pull it out. It's a good idea to do this before you glue, just to make absolutely sure you're not going to accidentally glue somewhere you shouldn't. Oops. And as I was saying, don't glue where you shouldn't, I started gluing the wrong side. That's what I get for trying to talk instead of do. Or do instead of talk. I don't know. Anyway, glue this side. And there's Joseph. Again, I'm going to keep him flat just for now, until all that glue is dry. Next it's time for the baby Jesus in the crib. Got a nice sparkly layer on the bottom. Start with the blue to go on with foam squares. Next up, his face to glue. Then the white to glue. Then the lighter piece of the crib, gluing again. And finally, the front of the crib with foam squares. Here's my base. So this time it's got to go that way round. I may have stuck the other two the wrong way round, but it didn't matter because they're symmetrical, but this time it really does matter. So I need to bend it this way, come down and out, and glue this side. Glue that on the back. There we go. Stands up beautifully. Next up is the female angel with her lovely gold hair. Bottom layer is her wings, and then next up is the hair to go on with foam squares. I'm not going to worry about trying to get any foam squares in the halo. I don't think it needs it. And it's very thin. Then there's the dress to glue on. Next is this white piece to do with foam squares. a little bit down there. Let's wipe that away first. There we go. Next up is the black piece for her eyes. Then the light yellow, or in my case light gold, for her eyebrows. Then the rosy pink colour for her cheeks. Then her face. Then her hair. Probably should have said, as I've been going along, I've been gluing all of these. You could have seen me do it, if you're not just listening along. Otherwise, you will not have known what I was doing. Her halo also to glue. Then her arms to do with foam squares. And finally, glue on her hands. Beautiful. Now the back stands for the male and the female angels are, as far as I can see, exactly the same. So don't think it matters which one I use for that one. Get it the right way round though. Okay. Fold in along the score line. Fold that down. Open out. Turn over. And glue the bits you can still see. And that's the female. Oh, didn't stand up. The female angel. Oh, why doesn't she? Oh, because that isn't quite in the right place. There we go. Now she stands up. Okay, so she was wobbly because the stand had come in a bit where I hadn't quite pushed it where it needed to go, which meant it wasn't level on the bottom. You need to make sure it's pushed right up against that ridge in the middle, and then it will stand. For the male angel, we're going to start by sticking on the white of his outfit with foam squares. Next up is his sash to glue on. Then it's this piece of his hair to do with foam squares. Then the white piece of the head to glue on. Next, the blacks of the eyes to glue on. Then the eyebrows to glue on. Then his rosy cheeks to glue. Then his face to glue. Then his hair to glue. Then his halo to glue. Then his arms for foam squares. Then his hands to glue. Then I've got the back. Around. I don't think it matters really for these ones because they are kind of symmetrical. My craft board did not like this one. It hasn't cut at all. Oh, actually, you know what? I've just realised that was slightly different to the female one because this one comes down further where her hair was. So now that's going to show up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to just cut those triangles off. Like that. And then it'll be fine. That was such a subtle difference. There, it's only the back. Oh, the wings are ever so slightly different as well. I didn't spot that when I was lining them up to check. Okay. Well, now you know what not to do, or if you're following along as you watch this, you've probably done exactly the same as me. Unless you noticed it, unlike me. Luckily, it's an easy fix, just to cut it a little bit smaller where needed. Then you can't notice it is any different. There we go. And it still stands really nicely. So crisis averted. Now we're on to the first of the 3 wise men. Starting with the lighter green for his cloak. And we'll do this with... Ooh. I think... This is a tough decision. I'm going to go for glue, I think. Nope, change my mind. Foam squares. Not lined that up very well. Look at that. That's shocking. And I pushed it down really firmly as well. Try again. That is not much better. I wonder if I'm doing it on the wrong way round. Let's see. If I turn that over, does it fit any better? Yes, it does. Okay, perfect. So I don't know if I've now got this the wrong way round. Hopefully not. That still seems to fit. We'll glue the next green bit on. Then foam square on the white. I think I have now got those bottom layers the wrong way round because now that doesn't line up, and I know this is the right way round because it's got the texture on it. I don't think it'll notice too much when it's all finished. That's the problem with designs. They're almost but not quite symmetrical. The problem is if you make them symmetrical, perfectly symmetrical, they just don't quite look right. People aren't completely symmetrical, and so it looks strange. But then slight differences make it harder to stick together, so it's kind of trying to work out which way round to do it. Next up is the black piece to glue on. Then this brown bit to glue. Then his face to glue. Then his beard also to glue. Then the green of his hat to do with foam squares. Let's see, that's the right way. Then the gold to glue. Then we've got his gift to do with foam squares. and glue his hands on top. For the back stand, it's the one with the 3 pointy bits on top. Being careful lining them up now after that last angel. Right, that way round. And there he is. For our second wise man, we'll do it quite similarly with foam squares for this piece. And I've just turned that over because I want to check this time I'm doing it right. Okay. Glue on his arms. Foam squares for the white of his head. Then the black piece to glue. Then his face to glue. Then his beard to glue. Then the blue part of his headdress or crown to foam square. And the gold part to glue. Use foam squares for his gift. And glue on his hands. Check the back. And that's the second wise man finished. For the third wise man, we will do very similar. So we're foam squaring this layer. Glue on his arms. This time it's his eyebrows that's the very bottom layer. This one is for foam squares. Glue on the whites of his eyes. Oops, might not be that way because of the texture on the card. Then glue the black layer. Then glue his face. Then glue his beard. Then for this one, because we're already quite far out from the base of his crown, we'll glue on this gold piece. Back to foam squares for his gift. And then glue on his hands. Then check the stand. There we go. Third wise man, all done. Here's the shepherd. We'll start with the front of his cloak to glue on. Next up is this white bit with foam squares. I'm not going to try and get any foam squares into his staff, cane, don't know what you call it. Then glue on the black piece. Glue on this piece for his eyebrows. Glue on his face. Glue on his beard. Use foam squares for his headdress. Glue on this bit for the top of his headdress. Glue the staff on top. Glue the hand on top of there. And then foam square for the white of the sheep. Also foam square for the sheep's face. And glue on his other hand. At least for this one, it's easy to know which way round the back goes. And there is our shepherd. Oh, he didn't stand up because it hasn't come out all the way. Let's do that. And now he stands up. It was such an easy little fix if you find that they aren't standing. We're done with all the people now, on to the animals, starting with the sheep. First up is this bit to do with foam squares. For this one, I think I will try and get the foam squares in his legs. Otherwise I'm worried he won't stand up properly with no weight down there. Snip with scissors, and they cut really easily. Next up, his body to do with foam squares. Then the white for his head with foam squares. Then the black of his head to glue. Then the top of his head to glue. And his fluff on top think we will glue. This one's a bit tricky to fold because it gets very thin here, so be careful with it as you go. And that's the sheep finished. We've made it to the last one, and I just kind of threw it across my work surface when I was trying to move it into camera shot. So poor Mr. Donkey's looking a little bit sorry for himself right now. Move these bits apart. And then we're left with the bottom and this bit to do with foam squares. Now the donkey has, in total it's 3 shades of grey, but his hooves and a little fluffy bit on his head are a darker grey, but although my greys looked very different when I was choosing my colours to cut with, now that they're actually cut and put next to each other, there's not that much variation between them. I should have gone for either a lighter one for the main donkey or a slightly darker one for his hooves, but I think there's just about enough difference to get away with it. And seeing as this project uses so much cardstock anyway, I didn't want to have to recut anything. Place the top bit over just to see which hoof we're going to be sticking. So it's this third one and the first one. Do that with some glue straight on there. I'm not really worrying about which hoof goes in which place. I've just grabbed 2 random ones and that's fine. You can see what I mean about those greys being very similar. Okay, next up, the front layer to do with foam squares. Glue on his front hooves. Probably should have minded a bit more about which hoof went with which, because that one's not quite big enough. Maybe switch these ones out. My glue's not dry yet. There we go. That looks better. Do a bit of foam square for his tail. Then foam square the head layer with the ears. Next, glue on the white part of his head. Glue on the black part of his head. Glue on his grey face. Also glue on the fluff for the top of his head. And then foam squares for the front of his nose. And finally glue on the piece with the nostrils. Very cute. Just the back to go. And that's the donkey, the last character, all done. Next, we're moving on to the 3D stable. First, get all of the brown pieces of the stable that have got little holes, little circular holes cut out of them. This will be the main stable shape. We've got this big bit as the base. Then this shape, here's my little cutout. It's quite a long piece. Then there are two pieces that look like this, both with those circle cutouts here and here. And then there's one piece that looks like this with my little circle. And then one piece that looks like this. I haven't done the folding on this one yet to show you a little trick for how to do it. All the other ones I've already folded up the score lines just to speed this up a little bit. With all of these pieces, the side that the Cricut did the scoring on will be the outside of the box. So for all of the bits, you want to turn it upside down and fold inwards along all the score lines. However, if you're like me and your Cricut hasn't scored that deeply, that can be quite difficult to get it along the right lines. So I've been cheating it a little bit and doing it the wrong way first and then folding it back to be correct. Here's my piece. It's got 3 score lines on it, and this is the front. So this is the bit I want to be on the outside of my stable, the bit that the Cricut has done the scoring on. To make it easier to know that I'm doing it in the right place, I've been getting a ruler, putting it against that score line, and then carefully folding upwards towards me along the line. Now this is the wrong way to fold. I need it to fold backwards to be a mountain fold, not upwards like a valley fold. But we'll correct that in a minute. First I'm going to do all 3 of the lines. I've started them off. Now it'll be much easier to turn it the other way up and fold back along them. If you've got a brayer tool or similar, go down your folds to make them nice and crisp. All 3 of these I can now bend the other direction and know that they're perfectly along the score lines. And then repeat that for all of the pieces I just showed you. Position your base bit so that the hole is on the bottom right, and then we'll be gluing or taping, it's up to you which one you find easier, all of these bits along. And for this long piece, the tabs are different sizes. The one with the circle cut out has got slanted edges on, and then there's a smaller one the other side. You want to glue the one that's thicker with the circle cut out, and that will go along the base like this. Make sure you line it up really nicely with that bottom line on the stable, because if you come over or if it's not quite straight, it might not stand up very well when you're all done. That's how that looks in there. I need to zoom out of it so you can see a little bit better. Next up, we've got this piece, and the hole will go along the left of the stable, so along like this. Once again, line it up as close to the edge of the main bit as you can. And then the matching piece will go the other side, once again with the circle bit touching against the base. Now we can fold these 2 tabs in along the bottom. We've got the tab on there and the other side, these ones here, and then fold up that base bit to glue to them. It's going to be really hard to show on camera. I also think my glue needs to dry a little bit more on that side, so we'll do this side first. So fold the tab inwards. Oop, just put glue everywhere. Glue down that tab. And also this side. Then fold up the bottom and stick it to those tabs. You want it to be nice, straight right angles on the corners. You might need to hold it in place for a while until your glue dries, because you can see this one just popped off again. While the glue's drying, I'm going to keep an eye on it to make sure it doesn't start coming away. Looks okay at the minute. And start work on these other two bits. Take the piece that's just got the two tabs, one on each of the longer side, and then again the one with the hole will be going along one of the sides. Don't think it really matters which way round you do it. We'll fold that tab in, the one on the end, and that will glue to this side of this one as it goes along, and also this bit with the hole along here. It's really hard to describe 3D projects. And then I'm adding my glue to the tab, this bit. Great, there's that bit done. One more left, which is this one. Again, the one with the hole is what goes along the base. And then we've got a tab here, which will go onto the back of this one. So it'll be on the inside, the tab on the inside. And then this tab that you can't see, this one here, will connect to the other side. Remember the glue on the one with the hole. I almost did it on the wrong one then. It might help to pick that top tab upwards on this side so we're not getting caught on it. It's a little tricky because it's so big. Also, when I'm filming, I'm quite a long way away from my body to get in camera shot, so I'm reaching out quite far now because this is so big. That's all those in there. And then fold all your front tabs so they're nice and flat, and that will help make up the front. Next up, we'll add the starburst into the back. I've done mine from two different bits of gold, and these will just glue inside right at the back. You might find it easier to lift these bits up to put it in so it fits in a little easier. I need lots of glue for this one. It's right in the bottom. It has the benefit of covering over all of those tabs to make it look really nice and neat. And then the starburst bit goes on top. Ah, that looks beautiful. We've also got this big gold bit which will go along the bottom. Probably going to be easiest to do this bit standing up. Apologies that you can't see. I'll show it to you in a minute. So it slides in there and push it right back to the back. Like that. Then we can start working on the front. First up, add a little bit of glue to the corners of all these tabs where the bits are going to overlap. Then push them all down so that they're all flat and glued together on those overlaps. You might find they don't want to stay stuck, so keep pushing your glue in until it's dry. See, all mine are popping off. Then add glue all the way around the frame. I just definitely put my jumper in the glue. Yeah, I did. Look, covered in glue now. Wasn't very clever, was it? Take the frame piece. Ooh, don't drop it. And place it over there. It will line up exactly. This neatens up the front, covers up all of those tabs. Might not be 100% accurate on all of it. It depends a bit on how well you glue the sides up. Mine on here doesn't quite come all the way to the edge, but don't think it'll notice when it's all together. Okay, that's the bulk of the stable done. The rest of the decorations for the front are the ones that will be put on with the Velcro, blue tack or similar. First we'll do the easy bit, which is the gluing. Take the 2 green bits and then find the 2 brown bits to go on top that have got the full shape of all of the rafters in the stable on them, which is these 2 pieces. And then glue them exactly on top of the green. Next up, we're going to add the outer bits on with foam squares for some dimension. These overlap a little bit on these corners. Don't add any foam squares right up against these sides where there's going to be an overlap, because that will eventually slide up against this piece. We need to keep them separate for now though, because otherwise if we were to stick these 2 bits together and make one big front, it won't fit inside the stable in our box because it's a bit bigger than the front of the box because of the overlaps on the side. That's why we're still building this up as 2 separate pieces. Use the left side to line it up and push down to stick when you're happy with the positioning. Then do the same for the one on the other side. That's this piece on here. And once again, don't add your foam squares where it's going to overlap. Okay, so those bits will go on the front and they'll overlap with each other there until it joins. And then to hide the final join in the middle, this bit here, we'll have this piece, which will go on like that. And this will be done with our Velcro, so I'll leave that for now. And then the rest of these 2 pieces, we'll need to add Velcro or blue tack or whatever removable adhesive you're using to go onto the front of the box. I've already added one side of my Velcro here, as you can see, and mine comes in 2 rolls. So if you're doing it in rolls like me, you'll probably find that you get 2 in the pack and each one has a different texture. One will have this scratchy texture on it. The other one is softer and fluffier, and then when they push together they lock in place, so it's quite hard to pull it apart, but you can. So this is how the front of the stable will be removable, so it can go back in the box each year. If you're cutting this, don't use scissors. I did use scissors and they are now so gunked up from the adhesive on these rolls that they won't even close, so completely wrecked them. I found there was much more success using a craft knife and a cutting mat. It didn't gunk up my craft knife. That's still fine. So that's just a little top tip, no scissors on the Velcro. It might just be I've bought a particularly strong adhesive one, yours might be fine, but just thought I'd let you know that it might not be quite so easy to do with scissors on that. But I've used the scratchy one to go around the edge on this piece, so I need to cut the soft one to go on the back of the stable. Let's work out how much I need. Mine's a bit too thick. The strips are too thick for the stable, so I've been cutting it in half. This side is a lot easier to cut than the rough side that I've already done. Okay, and that wasn't really in half, was it? It's probably needs a bit more taking off. Okay, that'll fit. Okay, so mine's adhesive, so what I can do is work out which side I've got here, this one, and then I'll line this up on the back. Peel off the back and stick it down. And this is super duper sticky, the adhesive on this. And then my other side, so I'm going to go a bit along the bottom and a bit up of that side, which is up here. Okay, so then this one will go along there, like that, and then I'll keep going until the backs of this and the matching bit for the other side have all got the Velcro bits on to correspond. So I'll do that off camera, otherwise you'll be watching me for a very long time, but it will kind of start working now just with these bits to show you. So you'd line it up and push it down into the Velcro, and then that stays nicely stuck on there. It's going to be displayed beautifully, and then you can see I'm trying to pull it and it's not coming off easily, so it's going to stay there. It won't come and fall halfway through your Christmas celebrations. But at the end of December, you can rip it apart like that and store those bits inside. So I'll go and finish those bits off, and then we'll see how to do the final bit in the middle and the star on top. My Velcro is now on the back. So I'm going to put it on, line it up as closely as you can along these two edges and along the bottom. It grips kind of straight away, so you've got to be quite careful to do it accurately. And then push down to get those hoops, sticking to my jumper, to get those hoops stuck on. You'll also see I've added a few more bits of Velcro, which I'll explain in a minute. But first up, here's this one to go the other side, and it will overlap these two little bits a bit. There we go. And then I've got these two strips at the bottom. I've glued the gold of the hay and the green of the grass on top of each other, added the corresponding side on the back, and then that will go right along the front to neaten that edge. Push in the Velcro. And then at the top, I've added two bits on here, and on the back, I haven't done it yet, but that will go on the back of that one. And then to make it so that it stays level, because this is lower than the outside bits, I'm going to use some foam squares on the back. These ones are slightly bigger, but not to take the back off. So I'm just going to add them on here to build up the dimension to make it sit a bit flatter, but not peel them off. And that bit may have been a bit close to the top because I don't want it to overlap here. Move it down a bit. So that way, when it sticks on those bits of Velcro, it's got that extra height in there, so it sits nice and level against the back. Okay, so a nice trick for lining up your bits of Velcro is put one side on and then get the other side, this is my fluffy side, and stick the bits against each other. You don't have to push down hard, just get them in place. And then you can peel off the adhesive. Easier said than done. And then put the bit on, and then you know it's going to be in exactly the right place. Looks good. Push it against there to get the adhesive stuck, and then it will come apart when you need it to at the end of December. The last thing to do is to add the star on the top, which will go on here, and because this bit will fit on here, I'm going to add a foam square. Do it that way, it doesn't need to be able to come apart. Put that just up against there. And that's my stable all done. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit more Velcro underneath this bit here, but I think it's going to be fine. It's not going to notice that the bit underneath isn't sort of stuck together when it's all up. So there we go, that's the stable now, all finished, apart from we need to make the lid so that at the end of December we can put it all together, put a lid on top, and it will be nicely tucked away. We've got all our remaining pieces here, and this goes together very similarly to how we did the main structure bit. Select your longest bit, and then on the tabs, one of them again is a bit thicker with slanted edges. That's the one that will be glued along the bottom. Next up, take one of the bits with 4 tabs, and the long one with the slanted edges will be along the bottom. And then whichever one will end up next to that base piece will be glued to that. And then glue this tab onto the base, the back, the bottom, that's the word I was looking for. This is the base. And the same the other side, with the other one with the 4 tabs on it. Then the other 2, start with the one that doesn't have any tabs on the sides. And that will glue down to one of these. Then we've got the last one, so that will go on top of this tab, and then this tab will tuck in to this one. This one's the trickiest to put in because we're doing sort of 3 things at once. For this one, the tabs will just glue down on themselves to add a bit of stability to the front for this to be slid on and off the back of the main stable. I'll start with these 2. Make sure it doesn't catch on the other 2 sides. Tuck it down against itself. You might want to hold it in place for a while or add some paper clips to make sure it doesn't pop out. Here's it all finished with all those tabs glued in, and then I can get my main stable, and for having it on display, it tucks in the back like this to sit in there, or you could put it somewhere else if you didn't want to display it like this, but this way you'll definitely know where that lid is. And then when you come to put it away, we'll take off all the bits of Velcro. This is going to be noisy. Be nice and gentle with it. Start putting them in there. Then add all of the characters in there too. I've collapsed the stands up again to make them a little bit smaller. Here we go. Then this time, put the lid on the front. And you've got the perfect box for storing this in, ready for next year. And that's our giant 3D nativity, all finished after this very, very long video. Well done if you've made it this far. I hope that you enjoyed making this giant stable and nativity scene for Christmas. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and free SVGs. I'll be back tomorrow with day 13 of the Christmas Craft Countdown, and I hope to see you there. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!